And welcome to 100% Chelsea. I'm Chris Pajak from the RedMen TV, and I'm here to give you a breakdown of how Liverpool have been playing this season under Jurgen Klopp. So first of all, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through the side that I think will start at Stamford Bridge on Friday evening. Much maligned Mignolet. I think he's going to start. Karius is back in full training now, and I think that this man, Lloris Karius, is going to be our main goalkeeper moving forward, but now's not the time. Simon Mignolet's had a good start to the season. He keeps his place in goal for me. Right back, Nathaniel Klein. Centre halves, I believe it'll be Joel Matip, and although Dejan Lovren missed the last game, Lucas Leiva stepped into his boots. I think Dejan Lovren's going to come back in. He had an eye injury. If you saw it on Instagram, it was a vicious black eye. And finally, I think James Milner completes the back five. He's going to be playing left back. He has done for the most part this season. Alberto Moreno's not had a good start to this season and has been dropped. And to be fair to James Milner, he had a great game against Riyad Mahrez against Leicester, where we beat them 4-1. This centre-back here, you might not know a lot about him, Joel Matip. We picked him up on a free. We did the deal last January. We obviously started for us when his contract ran out in July. He's a big, tall, rangy centre-half. He looks good on the ball. He's comfortable with the ball at his feet. But you know what he's given us? He's given us that presence in the air, which is something that you guys have historically had success against us with. Hopefully, he'll go a little way to dealing with your aerial threat. So Joel Matip, Dejan Lovren, for me, the centre-backs. Now, interestingly, we're playing a 4-3-3 at the minute, but it's easily moved into a 4-2-3-1. Jordan Henderson has been starting in defensive midfield because Emre Can has an ankle injury. I'm not sure whether he's going to start. He is back in full training. He was back in full training on Tuesday this week, but I think Jordan Henderson gets the nod after what was a brilliant performance against Leicester. And then Adam Lallana, we're in talks with him for a new contract. I think he starts right side. And Gini Wijnaldum, which we signed from Newcastle for big money in the summer, we've converted him into a centre midfielder. He'll start on the left of a three. I think the big guy, Sadio Mane, for me, he's our number one player at the minute. He's so dynamic, he's so fast. He goes in on the right-hand side. Phil Coutinho rested against Leicester because of travels over to Brazil and back in the international break. I think he comes back into the side. And then I think the other Brazilian, the guy who didn't travel, Roberto Firmino, he was outstanding against Leicester. He actually played in Phil Coutinho's position here, and we had Daniel Sturridge up top here, and the movement that some of these players from some of these front 3, 4, 5 was absolutely incredible. Daniel Sturridge drifting out wide, Sadio Mane straight in. Equally, it didn't matter. Mane would swap with Firmino if that was it, and back and forth, and it was just unbelievable to watch. We had so much success because Leicester played man-to-man against us, and we were just dragging their centre-backs out, and then these forward runs from Lallana, Firmino and Mane finding space in the box. Absolutely superb. So I'm going to go back to the side that I think will start. We've seen Roberto Firmino start away from home a lot up top on his own, backed up by these two. I think we're going to go back to that. And I'll tell you how Liverpool play, okay? So we have, as I mentioned it before, it's a 4-3-3, but it can also be a 4-2-3-1. I think when you look at it, it's kind of a bit of an offset midfield, a bit like that. When you look at average positions, Jordan Henderson ends up in the centre, James Milner, Nathaniel Klein, they're all over the shop, and what ends up happening is everything comes a little bit like around here. So there's a lot of focus on these central areas, and loads of the ball for us comes out from our fullbacks. So Matip and Lovren, in an ideal scenario, would split out like this. The ball's played into James Milner a lot. It's played into Nathaniel Klein a lot. And from there, it's about having 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 options if the striker's running out there as well. Phil Coutinho likes to drift inside. It'll be on James Milner to get at your right back. But what I think you can see is already, move the defenders back. This 4-3-3 quite quickly becomes a 4-2-3-1, which is something that a lot of the teams in the Premier League have been doing for a few years now. But the main starting point when we're defending is this 4-3-3, and I think these are quite happy to come back and almost make it a 4-5-1 at times. Roberto Firmino's really good with his back to goal as well. He'll come in, balls will be played from maybe Adam Lallana, Jordan Henderson, Gini Wijnaldum. They'll be played into Firmino's feet. He'll come back to the ball and someone will go, and that's sort of there's triggers during our attacks that we're looking to see, and this is one of them. So it's about coming back to the ball, creating that space. It could be Kante for you guys playing in the defensive midfielder role. Whose job is it to track Roberto Firmino Firmino and Adam Lallana. If Roberto Firmino's coming back, does the centre-back for you guys, I know you've got Terry, could be injured, does he track Roberto Firmino? Is it Kante's job to follow Adam Lallana's forwards run, or Mane into the centre? These are where we caused Leicester loads of problems, and they just, in fairness to them, couldn't deal with it. So it's interesting for me to see whether you go zonal or whether you go man-to-man at the weekend against us. Preferably, I think I'd like to see us go man-to-man. I don't know if that's how you guys play, but I think we've proved so far that against the man-to-man defence, with the fluidity of this front five, as it were, we can really find space. I think what's going to be really interesting is if Antonio Conte plays that 4-1-4-1 that you guys have been playing with Kante sat behind the four and Matic in there as well. I think there'll be a lot of focus on Matic to cover one of these forward runs, and that could be a way to deal with Liverpool moving forwards. But it's about now your fullbacks, whether Azpilicueta is going to be tracking Mane all the way inside or whether he's going to be passing him off to a centre-back. Do expect to see some counter-attacking football. What we'll try and do is we'll try and sort of dilly-dally, as it were, around the back a little bit. And what we want you to do is we want you to come out, we want you to start pressing us, and then we want to try and get around that press and start hitting the space in front of Mane, maybe give Phil Coutinho the ball and find the next man further up the field. It's going to be a really interesting battle. I'm looking forward to seeing how Chelsea play under Antonio Conte. I know David Luiz is in line to start now because of John Terry's injury. Whether David Luiz is the right man to play centre-back against this sort of fluid. When we're on form, attacking-wise, we're really good. David Luiz is obviously a great player. He's done some great things in his footballing career so far. I'm sure he'll go on and do a lot better. Whether he's the man who's got that sort of... who's able to stand there and go, no, I'm not going to go with him. He seems a very front-foot defender whenever I've seen him play. And I personally think that he might be drawn into Roberto Firmino. And that's where we're going to see a little bit of space open up for our wingers and our other attackers to get into. So hopefully for me, it's a good thing that John Terry's missing. I mean, he's swapping out for a great centre-back in David Luiz, but I think there's parts of his game that we can really get at, and I'm sure that Liverpool will try and do that. Anyway, thank you very much for watching. If you've liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to leave your comments in the comments section below and subscribe to 100% Chelsea.